Northwest, Tom Leykis here with a ray of gleaming hope. If you're sick of contracts with America, hypocritical family values, and tiresome right-wing rhetoric, there is relief. Me, Tom Leykis, weekdays at 3 here on The Buzz, 100.7 FM. From Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show.
Oh, God.
And now, he is Tom Leykis. 6 minutes after the hour. Thank you for tuning into the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No, I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you very much for tuning in. Got a family situation I wanted to share with you. My family's not talking to me. I've not heard from my mom in a while. I've not heard from my brother. My sister a little while ago sent a really vicious email to me on America Online, but never bothered to call me and have a conversation with me. And another family member who I will not name because I can't prove it except that it sounded like him, and I listened to the voice, and I'm almost sure it is him. But another family member actually, instead of calling me and talking to me, made a prank phone call to my radio show, which you may have heard. Because I did not show up at my dad's funeral, and it was not like I surprised anybody by not showing up. I had a conversation with my mom, and my mom was apparently angry at me because I didn't have enough of a reaction when she told me that my dad had died. And my mom accused me of being a stone and said that I don't have any real emotions. And I pointed out that I mourned from my loss of my relationship with my dad a long time ago. My dad worked lots and lots of hours. We hardly saw each other. And when we saw each other, he was angry, cranky, and frequently drunk, frankly. And that's not to say it was all negative. My dad had an incredible career as a union activist. He said a lot of the right things. He stood up for his principles. He worked very hard. A lot of his crankiness was due to being tired from all the work he did. He drank to unwind from all his hours of working and commuting and what have you. But reality is reality, and it drove a wedge between the two of us. And my mom told me my dad had died, and first thing I asked her was, I said, "Are you okay?" And she was not happy with that reaction. She thought I should just burst out sobbing, and that was not my reaction. Not because I'm cold, not because I'm a stone. I spent years working on how I felt about this, about my relationship with my dad, a relationship that I never had, a relationship that was always very cool and distant. I'm not a cool and distant person. People who know me know that. But my relationship with my dad was like that. We hardly saw each other for a long time, for years, when I lived at home. I left home at 16. I was just about 17 years old. And after I left home, things didn't get much better. We had a cordial, friendly relationship. Was it a close relationship? No. Would my dad go out for the weekend, go fishing, or have a couple of beers? No. Nope. Wasn't like that. Later on, my dad sold his ice cream business and continued working at his day job, and apparently he mellowed out as a result of that. And as a result, my brother and my sisters had a different relationship with my dad. I was the oldest child. So they don't understand how I feel, and they're all angry at me. I asked my mom when she called me, and she started giving me this whole thing about being a stone and having no emotions. I said to her, I'm not coming there if I'm going to have to be subjected to this kind of anger and abuse, all right? And you have to promise me that's not going to happen. And she refused to promise that to me, and I said I wasn't coming, and she hung up the phone on me, and that was the last we spoke. I'm not asking you for any solutions, because there is no solution to this. Either people decide they want to get it together and try to understand each other, or they don't. And if they don't, then there's nothing I can do about it. But I had a feeling there's a lot of other people in a similar circumstance. And a lot of people probably have an opinion about this. So I thought you and I could talk about it. Our toll-free telephone number from across North America is 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Let's say hi here to Cheryl, a first-time caller from Seattle. Cheryl, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I have been listening for about a year and have wanted to call on many different occasions. Tonight just happens to be one of those that I'm home and I could call in. And I wanted to comment that, first, I feel really sad because you have a lot of people in your family. But I think it's interesting that none of them understand that each person deals with grief differently. And that
each person is different.
That's for sure.
Even more importantly, every
Right.
person is different.
And that the way that you care and the way that you dealt with your father is your own unique relationship. And I felt really bad that each person in your family is not coming, that no one is calling you, that they're kind of following the footsteps of how your mom set this whole thing up after your father died. And I can relate to it only that I come from a family with two sisters, a mom and a dad, and my sister has decided to not speak with my entire family. And although each of us tried to communicate with her once she, a few years ago, left, she made the decision on her own, and we respect her for that. But each of us individually tried to reach out to her. And in this case, your mother, it sounds like, set this up after your father died, and no one has bothered to call you.
Well, I think the concept is supposed to be that we're all supposed to act the same way, feel the same way. We're supposed to all rewrite history and say that we all got along great and he was a perfect person. And I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Well,
I can't do that.
That probably makes them feel better in remembering him. However, what's interesting is you all grew up in the same house together. And although it sounds like your siblings are younger, I don't know how much, but younger than you are, obviously they still saw the relationship that you had with your father. And your mother had to see that relationship.
I think everybody's in denial about that.
But it made me feel really bad, and I thought, isn't it interesting? Because all of our families, I think, are complex.
I agree. And that's the reason I told the story, because not because I think my story is so interesting.
Oh, I think it is interesting, but I think that if we appreciate how different each individual is in our family, and what I think is also kind of fun and interesting in families is the families that I think have more harmony, they usually have one person at least, that whether it's a sister or brother or the mom, the grandmother, that comes forward and tries to understand the differences and celebrate them and help the other family members do the same. And I know I tend to play that role in my family, and sometimes I wish it wasn't that way, but my family is important to me.
Yeah.
And I know that when you said that, there were things that there were similarities in your father that you saw in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I see the same thing in my mother and my father and myself, and it's interesting. I work real hard then not to react the same way to my children, so that maybe I can stop some of the negative aspects of that and make it more of a positive.
I hear what you're saying, Cheryl. I appreciate your call and your perspective on this. I really do, and I appreciate the fact that you empathize here. Our telephone number is 1-800-5800-TOM. Julie is a first-time caller from Long Beach, California. Julie, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Tom. How you doing?
Okay.
I have a lot of similarities to you, although I'm a little younger, but I don't talk to my dad, and I think it's interesting that a lot of people put their own feelings and opinions and thoughts on me because I don't talk to my dad. I do have two brothers that do speak to him, and at first it was hard for them. But now, they accept it, and little by little they try to get me to talk to him, but I don't have a relationship with him. Mm-hmm. I don't like him. He I don't have a relationship with him. I never did. So I don't know why people try to force it on me, as well as I'm getting married soon, and they say, well, of course he's going to the wedding, isn't he? And I said, he's not invited.
Now, for people who can't understand an attitude like that, Julie, tell us some of the reasons you don't have a relationship with your dad.
My dad's very selfish. He doesn't listen to me. Actually, the selfishness is probably the biggest thing, but I don't think my dad really knows how to love or cares. And I don't talk to him. He doesn't lift up a phone. I mean, and now I've gone to the point that it doesn't bother me, but it bothered me for a long time because like you said with that one gentleman caller who had sent you the fax, if you can't spend time with your kids, don't have them. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, if you have to work so many hours that you can't be with the kids you're having, you had too many.
Exactly. I mean, everyone now doesn't even think of it. They just, I just feel like having, a baby. Okay, let's go for it. And I don't think they spend enough time realizing it takes a lot of care and time and energy, and kids need that. And I mean, my mom, I got so much love from her that I'm the person that I am, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't talk to my dad. I don't talk to my dad, and it amazes me, though, that how many people will tell me I should and how wrong I am.
There is no should. I think that people in your family should be treated with the same consideration as other people you're not related to. And if people don't treat you with respect,
that's how I feel,
and dignity,
then why should I give them respect just because,
if they don't spend time getting to know you, if they don't spend time getting close to you,
exactly,
you don't owe them anything. Exactly. I'm sorry, you don't owe them anything, and you don't owe it to other people to pretend that there's a closeness there that isn't there.
Right, but when you tell them that there is no closeness there, they take this personal feeling.
Right.
I have no idea. Maybe they have their own problems and they don't want to deal with it, like you said, the denial, because I'm not in denial. I see it for what it is, and it's not a relationship that I want to have, and that's it. I move on. I have many relationships with other people in my life that are great. It's just I don't have one with my dad, and that's it. And I respect you for how you feel, because a lot of people aren't like me, and I felt the connection that there are other people out there that feel this way, and it was nice.
And it's okay to feel that way.
And it is okay to feel this way, and it's perfectly acceptable. And, if people are going to have kids, like I said, you need to think about it before you just, have them. Like your dad worked all the time. I mean, he has kids. The kids need love and time with their family and parents.
Yeah, well, we didn't have any time together.
Yeah,
and now I'm supposed to pretend we were always close, and we weren't.
Yeah, it amazes me still, and I heard this, and I bet a million people are calling, and they're...
Oh, the phones are nuts.
Yeah, thousands of stories like this, and that's why I say that people should think before they have children. It's not just a little baby doll or a little, pet that you have. It's, people have emotions and feelings, and you need to respect it. And I think throughout my life, I'm affected by this. I still am, although I've moved on. It still affects me that I don't have a dad. I move on, but I hope...
Now, see, you're like me. You've already mourned the loss of your dad.
I already have, and believe me...
He's still alive, right?
Yes, he is.
But you feel like he's dead.
Oh, yeah. I have no feeling for him. I just am sad that I didn't get that father-daughter, like you said, go to have a beer, at the bar, or go play, go to a movie. I didn't get that, and I'm sad still for that. But I don't miss him.
And there's nothing you can do to change it now.
Right,
and that's
nothing.
That's the most important thing. I mean, you have to deal with that, and then find the people in your life who do care about you.
That's what I have done and moved on.
That's right. Find the people who love you and be with them.
Right.
That's what I did after my dad died. I hung out with the people I care about.
Yeah, I think you sitting on your porch and drinking a glass. I mean, that's fine with me. I don't think I would go to my dad. I mean, to me, there's no point. I don't get along with him now. Just like going to my wedding, there's no point in him being there. I don't talk to him. There's no relationship. Why would I just have him there just because he decided to do something with my mom, and one night I popped out?
There you go. Julie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the call.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our toll-free telephone number from across North America is 1-800-5800-TOM. 19 minutes after the hour, my name is Tom Leykis.
Coast to Coast, the Tom Leykis Show.
Can we meet for lunch tomorrow?
Tomorrow's sales meeting.
In business, you can't always count on finding the time.
How's next week?
Traveling.
Oh.
How's next month? But you can count on AT&T for a guaranteed competitive price. Only the AT&T 1-800-COMPARE Center will give you an immediate side-by-side price comparison. If you don't agree our prices are competitive, we'll give you 1 month's worth of long distance up to $500. Today, you can't count on much.
Well, how does 96 look?
that you can count on AT&T for the life of your business.
Limitations and exclusions apply.
If you need extra strength medication to treat skin rash, you're not alone.
The rash will keep me awake. It burns and itches.
Billy Stewart of St. Petersburg, Florida, discovered Extra Strength Gold Bond medicated powder.
It tingles. It feels menthol. It feels cool.
Extra Strength Gold Bond has extra strength triple action. We take our proven absorbing action, then add more medication for itch relief and extra zinc oxide for drying action.
I can sleep better due to the itch relief of Extra Strength Gold Bond powder.
Try Extra Strength Gold Bond medicated powder. Use only as directed.
It's fall, the season of change, so we changed our prices all through the store. It's Sears Days, and at Brand Central, there's a Kenmore washer and dryer you can get at closeout prices, but only while quantities last. The washer's $348.88. The dryer's only $298.88. Save $72 on the pair. Dryer available and electric only. Prices may vary in Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. So hurry in, get to Sears Days, and get many of our lowest prices of the season before the season changes.
Drive away a winner during the $1 Million Car Drive Away at Budget Car and Truck Rental. With every rental, get valuable savings or win a new car, from a Lincoln Town Car to a Jaguar XJ6. It's all part of our commitment to ensure that you drive away a satisfied customer. For details and a scratch-off certificate, visit your participating Budget location. Budget, all the difference in the world. No purchase necessary, voids or prohibited. Open to licensed drivers 25 or older. Game ends January 31st, 1996, or while quantities last. What's for dinner tonight? I've got it. Hamburger Helper.
I'm gonna make a real good, feel-good meal. It's gonna have some good old family appeal.
My family loves cheese. And with Hamburger Helper 3 cheese, they get cheese.
Hamburger Helper makes a real good, feel-good meal.
Hamburger Helper 3 cheese.
Makes a real good, feel-good meal.
Tonight.
The News Tribune knows that for some people, football isn't a part of life. It is life. That's why every day the News Tribune takes you up close with the stories, scores, and schedules you want. And now you can play the game. It's easy when you play Pigskin Picks. Just complete a Pigskin Picks entry form with your best picks for game winners for your chance at the grand prize, a trip for 2 to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. Pick up a ballot in a Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday News Tribune. No purchase necessary. Some restrictions apply. The News Tribune. Words to live by.
Are creditors threatening to garnish your wages? Do you need a fresh start free from debt? Bankruptcy is your legal right. Call Bruner & Associates at 251-0555. Bruner & Associates will start work on your bankruptcy immediately with no money down. Are you tired of collection agencies calling you on the phone, harassing you, calling you names, insulting you? Remember, bankruptcy is a legal right. For a fresh start, call Bruner & Associates, 251-0555. Get help immediately with no money down. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy may be your opportunity to get a fresh start, free from debt. Bruner & Associates will allow you to pay your attorney fees in monthly installments with no money down. Why not get the help you need? Call Bruner & Associates right now, 251-0555. You can get immediate help with no money down. Call Bruner & Associates. Their number is 251-0555. 251-0555.
Acura of Linwood is highly recommended for their no or deal deals. Acura of Linwood takes the pressure out of buying your new Acura. Visit Acura of Linwood for a no or deal today.
Four minutes after the hour, the Tom Leykis Show. Sam is a first-time caller from Seattle. Sam, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. Great show.
Thank you.
I had a similar experience with my father. He was raised in the Bronx. He worked at 80 to 100-hour work weeks, and he made a lot of kids between 3 families, a total of 10 kids. So he must have been home sometime doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to kind of share briefly with you. I know that you're not looking for a solution, but you did exactly the right thing as far as not going to the funeral, because you had a right to stick up for what you believed in, and for your mother to have, that attitude and kind of close the communication. That's her problem. That's something that she'll have to deal with. But one thing that I would like to communicate with some of your listeners out there that may be who have experienced these things, their parents that are still alive, if they're not talking to them because they're mad or whatever. Once they die, it is too late. There are other members of some. My dad is passed away from cancer a few years ago, and some of the members in the family did not have a chance to say goodbye to them, and they deal with it. You know, they have to deal with that, and some of them feel bad, and gosh, I wish I would have said this and that. And so I would just encourage some of the listeners out there that it is not too late to say something, even though you may be rejected for it, but sometimes you got to be a little persistent.
Yeah, in my case, as I say, over the years, because my dad and I went like years without talking sometimes.
Right.
I just pretty much mourned his disappearance a long time ago.
Right.
And so there really wasn't a relationship. There are people who have a chance for having a relationship. And a relationship does not mean calling them and saying, how's the weather? A relationship means you talk about stuff. You spend time together. You do things.
Right.
And there is time for people to do that. My dad and I just did not have that relationship. We never did. And the other problem was, of course, in my case, when stuff was done that was egregious, not just slight flaws or perceived slights, but actual big things, nothing was ever done. It was never discussed. It was just kind of forgotten.
Yeah, I find it hard to understand that, like, nothing ever happened. I just don't quite get it how people can do that. It's just, you know, I don't get it. But
it's not worth it. I want to tell everybody out there who's thinking of having kids or has young children, it is not worth it to have children and then not have the time to spend with them.
Absolutely.
You will lose out. And you will have unrealistic expectations for how they're going to react to you in the future when you need them around.
Right. If you can't do it right, don't do it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate
Good luck
the call.
to you and your family.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bob is a first-time caller from Kansas City. Bob, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
You know, I empathize with your situation of really not feeling loved, and but yet, well, somebody wants to call me, but I don't have a radio show. At any rate, you know, I'm thinking too that this is very much like the On Golden Pond theme, and Mike, for what I heard you to say in your introduction of your situation, was it sounded like your father might have been what I call somewhat of a typical World War II type father. Was he a World War II veteran?
No, he was after World War II.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad died at 63 years old. He was rather young.
Okay. Well, my father and I were never really very close as well, but how I feel and what I listened to you say was why I called, and that is I felt like that despite how you felt, it seemed as though you were taking the position that they owed you something that you could have also provided, and that was the effort to make the relationship work. And I didn't hear you say that. What I heard you to say was that my dad did or didn't do these things, and my mom did or didn't do these things, and therefore I feel like I don't need to go to that funeral.
Well, there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, if my mom said to me on the phone anything like, I'd really like to see you, or anything relating to that, chances are, despite the fact that I didn't feel good about going, I would have gone. But she didn't do that. She didn't do that. It started off from... She actually, took the role of my dad and acted like my dad. And she started threatening me. Started telling me, if you don't show up, it's the last straw. Well, wait, I thought I would be going to comfort you, not to go and take abuse.
Right.
And this is not, I said, all you have to do is promise you're not going to abuse me. And she refused to even, to agree to that. I don't think that's asking a lot.
No, and what I'm thinking, is could you have gone for your mom, not for your dad, and for your siblings?
Yes, had she asked me to do that, I would have. Well, it sounded to me like my mom sounded more like she was interested in taking attendance than that she needed me.
Why not? Why did she have to ask you? Why not just go, knowing that it's for your mom, whether she even...
Because I don't want to take abuse, and you know what? My own mental health is very important.
Well,
I won't take abuse. I don't care how badly somebody thinks they need to see me. I will not take abuse from people, family members or otherwise. Mental health for me is number one.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Whitestone is for the immediate loading and unloading of passengers only. Wait a minute, that's my other job. This is the Tom Leykis Show. 26 minutes before the hour. From Los Angeles, the Tom Leykis Show. We're 1-800-5800-TOM. And if you're just tuning in, we're having this kind of complex conversation about feelings and families and anger and relationships. And the fact is that my dad died recently, and I did not go to the funeral, and my mom is all upset about it and isn't talking to me. And I kind of talked about some of the reasons why I felt that way, and the relationship between me and my dad, which, wasn't probably as good as it should have been or could have been, and getting your reaction to it. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. We'll say hi to Linda, first-time caller from Portland, Oregon. Linda, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. Once again, thank you for bringing up a good topic and stimulating conversation.
Thank you.
I agree with you on several points. One is, I think the most important point, is that people who think that children are just to be had and displayed aren't really taking parenting very seriously, and I think that's a big problem in our society these days. People don't think about the cost involved and the time and effort it takes to nurture children. My mom stayed at home and raised all of us, and my dad worked, and some days he did work some extra hours, but we always had family time. I grew up a very secure and happy person, knowing that my mom was always going to be home to take care of things, and that I was loved, and that we came before anything else. Now, we definitely were not wealthy. We were probably just above the poverty line, but we didn't have a pool. We didn't have a fancy house. My sister and I, as a matter of fact, shared a bedroom until we went off to college.
My two sisters also shared a room.
Yeah, and I never, to this day, I'm 31 years old. I don't go back and think, gee, I wish I would have had that $200 prom dress or something, because I have always had my parents' love and known that they support me in whatever I've done. It took me a long time to get through college, so but they didn't decide, well, you're not worthy of our love because you didn't go to college and finish up in 4 years, like the norm. They just understood that maybe I wanted to have a job of my own for a while and do my own thing and then go back to college.
So do you have a good relationship?
Oh, my God, yeah. I
that's
talk
great.
to my dad every week, sometimes a couple times a week. But I think the main thing is communication, and it doesn't sound like your dad was receptive to communication, and now your mom is doing the same thing. Rather than to say, Tom, I understand your point of view. You're very angry about this, and you didn't have a father growing up to share things with. I don't want that to happen between you and me. I think you're right. I will respect your choice. Honestly, what was it going to do for you to go out there another time if your dad wasn't making the time for you? I don't want to make it down to dollars and cents, but it's pointless to go visit someone who isn't going to be receptive to your visit.
Well, it just seemed like things were the same as they'd always been.
Yeah.
Let's act like nothing's different. Let's act like everything's the same.
If my dad had waved to me from the phone when I was leaving, that would have probably been the last time I would visit with my father, because I would think, am I not important enough for him to, here's obviously probably a local call. Could he not say, can I call you back? My son's in town for a couple of days. I'd like to spend some time with him. And because he obviously knew his days were numbered also.
I said this to my mom, by the way, what you just said. Not in the same words. I said it to my mom.
I'll set her straight.
Because my mom worked, my dad worked for a newspaper and was blown out at 43 years. He was a victim of union busting. And it's a case that's still going on with the National Labor Relations Board. It's been written about in the New York Times and other places. But anyway, the day I was there, this decision came down from the NLRB, and he was busy finding out about it. And I told Mom, I said, Dad didn't even get off the phone. He was on the phone busy finding out about this NLRB decision.
Yeah.
And my mother said to me, that newspaper was his life. I said, bingo.
Your career's your life.
You're right. A newspaper was his life. It wasn't me, and it wasn't anything else. It was the newspaper.
But, either way, is she now begrudging you your career the same way? I mean,
right, I'm supposed to drop my career and go back there for every little thing. But Dad could have the newspaper be his life. And you see, first of all, I said to my mother, where do you think I got being a workaholic from?
Yeah.
This is all I knew as a kid. Exactly. Dad goes out and works 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised that I'm like that?
Right. I mean, who else were you going to learn from?
That's right.
So that's my message, and I don't know, I kind of get the feeling that that's your message to people. If you're considering having children, consider the example that you're going to be setting for them, and if you're going to set an example that you're not going to be home and available to hug them or find out what they did in school that day or to go to their baseball games or sign them up for some sports or whatever, then it's really pointless to have them. You might as well buy a car and stick it in the garage because it's about the same amount of maintenance that you're going to be giving a child. So for people who think it's great to have a big family, consider if it really fits into your schedule.
A good
because
point.
Kids have needs.
That's true.
So, for my husband and I have not started a family yet because of that precise reason. So, I'm not an expert, but I know where I came from, and having my parents there in my life to this day is much, much more important to me than if I would have had, the $100 running shoes and the $200 prom dress or whatever. I appreciate the love and the time and the effort that they put into us. So,
you're a lucky person, Linda.
I am.
And it's not to say that my mom didn't spend time with me.
No,
I'm
not saying that at all. But I think.
But my dad and I were not close, and that's, I don't want my mom getting this idea that I'm trying to bash her or something.
No,
I'm not.
I don't either. But I would like her to see that she has an opportunity to open up communication with you and have a wonderful relationship up into her last years if she will put this aside and say, Tom and his dad had this kind of relationship, and I don't want our relationship to go down that road.
Absolutely.
And even though I don't agree with Tom, he has a right to feel how he feels because he was the one having the relationship with his dad and not me. Your mom and your dad's relationship is completely different than yours because they're on a different level. So I think that's what sometimes when we try to communicate, we forget that.
I think you make some great points, Linda. I got to take a break, but thank you for the call. It's 19 minutes before the hour. My name is Tom Leykis. Stay right there.
This is the Tom Leykis Show.
Hello? Is this the Discovery Channel?
Now, answer the call of the wild every weeknight with Discovery Channel's Wild Discovery.
I have a hard time agreeing with what you're saying.
What is it that you don't agree with?
Okay, first off, I was in the same situation you were in.
Which, in
my
what way?
My mom was home.
Yeah.
My dad working as long as he could to support his family.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
My dad and I had our differences. We found a way to work through them. I didn't bail out.
Well, that's great.
16.
I think that's great.
I didn't bail out when I was 16. I stuck through it and I made it work.
Well, wait a minute. I bailed out at 16 for a variety of reasons, not the least of which was I had an opportunity to go to college at a young age.
Okay.
Should I have stayed at home?
But still,
Should I have stayed at home?
I can't understand why you just didn't go for your mother or for your father, for your family.
Because my mental health comes first, above everything.
Above everything?
Above everything, yes. My mental health comes first, yes.
Didn't you even care how your mom felt?
My mental health comes first. I don't know how you cannot put your own mental health first.
I'm going to tell you something. My dad died 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had to pull the plug on him, okay?
Uh-huh.
And at that point in time, my dad and I didn't see each other very much, and we didn't really see eye to eye. But I was still there for my mom.
I think that's great. But was your mom abusing you? Was your mom telling you that you're a stone, that you have no emotions, that you didn't do enough for your dad before he died? Was she doing that?
Have to. My mom.
She appreciated the fact that you were there, right? Did she appreciate the fact that you were there?
Yes, she did.
She did. My mom was on the phone with me telling me I was a stone. My mom was on the phone giving me hell. And I refuse to put up with that in person, and nobody has to put up with that from anybody.
Take into account
ever.
She was suffering from a different type of grief than you were doing.
All I said was just don't abuse me. Don't abuse me. Now, if you think that people should have to suffer abuse and that other people have the right to inflict it upon you because they're in grief, because they're angry, or whatever reason, I'm sorry. I don't agree with that.
Well, how did you think your mom felt when you said flat out, I'm not going to be there?
Well, I said that after I asked her, please, if I come, you will not abuse me and you won't let other people do it. You're going to tell them that they can't do that. And she said no. She said no.
Control everybody else. She can control herself, but she can't control everybody
She wouldn't
else.
even promise it for herself.
You wanted her to
I was going to go there with a bullseye on my back. And I know that when I got there, I would hear nothing except how I didn't care about my father, how I didn't visit him often enough, how I wasn't there when he was in the hospital, how I didn't send him a Father's Day card, or whatever other perceived injustices I was responsible for. I would have heard about them. And that is not a time I wanted to hear that.
But you wanted your mother to promise that her or anybody else
it would have been adequate if she would say, look, I can't guarantee what other people will do, but I will lay off. She could have done that. She didn't do it. She wouldn't do it.
But
that's it. My mental health comes first, Dee. I'm sorry. I believe very strongly.
I perceive you to be.
I'm sorry?
Then you're as shallow as I perceive you to be.
You have a right to your opinion, and as I said when I started this segment of the program, some people are going to think less of me for this, but I'm sorry. I think you have to put your own mental health first. And to go to your father's funeral and have to listen to that kind of criticism and that kind of unbelievably inaccurate portrayal, to say that you have no emotion, to say that you have no sense of humor, to say that you are not my mother was psychoanalyzing me on the phone and telling me, you're not a happy person. And certainly my mom didn't sound like a happy person at the time and did not sound like she was in a position to judge. I did not want to come 3,000 miles to listen to that. And if people don't like it, well, at least I'm honest enough to come on the air and tell you that that's the way it is. Missy is a first-time caller from Seattle. Missy, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I totally agree with you. I for myself would not want to be a target for anybody under any circumstances, and especially a funeral. I think that's probably one of the most hardest things anybody can ever go through, and everybody grieves in their own way. I think maybe your mom or the rest of the family was too busy pointing fingers at you and at everybody else, and everything was just a complete mess, and it's not a good reason for them to have, maybe it wasn't a good reason for your mom to have reacted that way, but it is understandable, and it is understandable for you too. For me, I just found my father after 18 years, and I found him myself.
Mm-hmm.
We are from another state. We're originally from California, and he ended up being very close to Seattle. And I thought, well, great, I'm going to rekindle this relationship with my father. I'm going to have something I never had. Something in my life was completely missing. And you know what? It's nothing. I was sick one week. I talked to him. He says, well, honey, I'll call you later on tonight to see how you're feeling. Never heard from him again. And it's been almost a month and a half, almost 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so sad because it's the kids that suffer. It's us that suffer. And I believe it's just too bad.
Well, I mean,
and I couldn't believe what the last caller had said. I mean, it's not your fault. I think maybe your dad was maybe afraid for a relationship. Maybe that was his own way of dealing with it.
I actually think it has more to do with the relationship he had with his dad.
That's too bad.
That's the way it was.
And then
There's nothing you can do about it.
But it keeps repeating itself.
Right.
And you're paying for it. You're still paying for it. You're still angry. And that's, look at that. It's just incredible. And people just don't understand that. And then people that do have kids, it's not that, well, maybe the people that don't have kids, maybe you should plan ahead of time. But what about people that do have kids and that are living it now? Take a step back and look at your own life and don't relive what has been happening.
Right. Don't relive what happened to yourself. I mean, forget about what the story I've told. Think about your own situation with your own parents.
You're passing it on.
Right.
That's exactly what you're doing. And you're going to end up hurting the kids because it stays with them emotionally.
Yeah.
I'm 26 years old, and this 18-year gap is still it's still there and it's not going away. And now I'm still grieving, but I'm the one that's paying for it. And then my daughter can feel the pressure. She's now saying, well, where's my grandpa? Why isn't he around? Now I have to come up with a reason. Well, honey, your grandpa just didn't want to call me anymore. I don't know. Maybe his family was too important. Maybe his new wife and his kids are so much more important. That what about me and my brother?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to have to wait for a funeral to say, I'm sorry, Dad? Or is it going to be on what happens if something happens to me? Is he going to come to my funeral saying, honey, I should have been there for you?
I think
Does it take a funeral for families to come together?
I think you make some great points. Unfortunately, it's at a funeral when a lot of times you have unresolved issues and unresolved feelings and anger that's been building up over the years. When somebody dies, all of a sudden, it's like a nuclear waste dump, and somebody took a crowbar and pried the lid off it, and it's all leaking out now. All the stuff we haven't said to each other over the years, it just comes out, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we can't talk about these things all through our lives and not wait until a time like that. Thank you, Missy, for the call, and I really empathize with your situation as well. 7 minutes before the hour. My name is 3 minutes before the hour, the Tom Leykis Show. Thanks for tuning in. Rainey, first-time caller from Seattle. You're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I love your show.
Thank you.
To me, funerals are to go to, you pay respect to the people that you go to these funerals. And to me, you go, I'm nervous.
That's okay. Most people are first-timers, so don't worry about it.
You go to a funeral to pay respect and for who this person was to you. And I don't feel that he was anybody to you because I don't think he earned your respect as a person. I don't think a mother or a father is a right. It's a behavior. And I believe that he was respected by his union members or the people he worked with, and sounds like his wife, but that's because he was somebody to them, and he did give them the time of the day, but he didn't give you the time of the day.
Well, he wasn't able to. Now,
well, he chose.
It's not that I don't respect him as a person. I have respect for him, and I have respect for what he accomplished in his job.
Okay.
And I respect his integrity.
But it sounds like
but we weren't close.
But it sounds like a 6-pack of beer was worth more than his child.
Well, the thing is, we just weren't close. Now, maybe he was closer to my sisters and my brother than he was to me, but that's reality. And you can't rewrite history. You can't change reality. That's the bottom line, Rainey. Thank you. Quickly, Elaine in Santa Barbara. We got about 10 seconds here.
Wow, heavy topic, Tom. I just want to say if you're at peace with yourself about not going to the funeral, that's all that matters. Because you have to live inside your own skin, and if you're at peace with it, there's nothing more to be said.
I am at peace with it. I hope my mom comes to some kind of a conclusion on it.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Coming up next, something completely different. Senator Bob Dole. Remember, he had gotten money from the log cabin Republicans? And then said he didn't realize it was the log cabin Republicans and they were gay and stuff, and he gave the money back. Now he's reversed his decision again, and he's decided to accept the donation. We'll have the details as we continue with the Tom Leykis Show.
Out of our minds? Of course we are, and proud of it. Talk radio with attitude. The Buzz 100.7 FM. KIRO FM Seattle.
CBS News, I'm Lisa Meyer. Sources say the Clinton administration has a new policy for federal agents' use of deadly force. According to the Associated Press, the policy, approved by Attorney General Janet Reno, lets law enforcement officials use deadly force only when they believe there is an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to themselves or other people. The policy is expected to be outlined in detail tomorrow before a Senate subcommittee looking into the 1992 shooting at Ruby Ridge, Idaho, in the FBI stand standoff with white separatist leader Randy Weaver. Administration spokesman were on Capitol Hill today supporting President Clinton's plan for sending troops to Bosnia. The Americans would be part of a NATO force sent in to police a peace treaty. Defense Secretary William Perry assured senators the Americans would have the means to protect themselves. And Barry Bagnetto reports the military's top general was also supportive.
Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman John Shalikashvili says to minimize risks, a large force, well-armed and trained, would be needed. The current plan calls for 20,000 American troops, one-third of the NATO force. A reserve call-up of 2,000 to 3,000 is planned. Shalikashvili admits NATO could implement an agreement without U.S. troops, but the administration argues there will be no agreement without an American military commitment.
Many senators were skeptical about a U.S. commitment. Virginia Republican John Warner called Bosnia a quicksand situation. A bipartisan group of House members is urging President Clinton to put together a commission to study race relations. One of those congressmen, New Jersey Democrat Charles Schumer, told a news conference that more and more America is now divided against itself. He said, quote, "I fear for the future of the country." The call for the formation of the commission came one